greetings to you. I'm Pearl John from Logos Management, and I'm delighted that you could join me today as we continue the series of Nehemiah. Last week, we looked at Nehemiah part 5 and we referenced the theme, persevere in the face of adversity. And we spoke of 3 key learnings. 1, trust in God's protection. 2, persevere through prayer. And 3, encourage each other to persevere. This week we go on to part 6 and focus on the theme, the call to justice and compassion. The call to justice and compassion. The text for our reference is Nehemiah chapter 5 verses 1 to 13. We see Nehemiah respond to an injustice within the community of Jerusalem. Nehemiah's response teaches us valuable lessons that we can apply in our lives today. Let me highlight 3 key lessons for us to consider. 1, recognize injustice and respond with compassion. Recognize injustice and respond with compassion. Nehemiah chapter 5 verses 1 to 5, we see that the people of Jerusalem were suffering from hunger and poverty. They were being forced to sell their children into slavery to pay their debts, while their wealthy neighbors were profiting from their suffering. Nehemiah recognized this injustice that was taking place and responded with compassion. He called a meeting of the people and confronted the wealthy landowners, demanding that they stop exploiting their neighbors. I really like this. He did not turn a blind eye to the injustice that was being meted out. He did not think it doesn't concern me or my family or my issues. But he took it upon himself to do something about the injustice. Often as Christians, we adopt the policy of non-interference, or let me mind my own business, and we have these blinkers on and we tend to sort of be narrowly focused. But not Nehemiah. He saw what was happening around him and recognized that he needed to do something about it. That is perhaps so critical for us today, to raise a voice of protest or join hands together with like-minded people and ensure that the injustice is addressed. As believers, we must respond with compassion. An excellent example of this is Mother Teresa. She dedicated her life to serving the poor and marginalized, recognizing the injustice they faced and responded with love and compassion. She said, kind words are short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. Their echoes are truly endless. The second learning is reject selfishness and prioritize the needs of others. Reject selfishness and prioritize the needs of others. In Nehemiah chapter 5 verses 6 to 9, we see that Nehemiah not only recognized that the injustice was taking place, but he also rejected selfishness in himself, or a focus on himself, and prioritized the needs of others. He set an example for the wealthy landowners by refusing to take advantage of his position as the governor and instead prioritize the needs of the people. As believers, we are called to reject selfishness and prioritize the needs of others. We must recognize that we have a responsibility to care for those around us, and we must be willing to sacrifice our own comfort and convenience for the benefit of others. I'm reminded of the life of Oskar Schindler. He risked his own safety and comfort to save the lives of over 1,000 Jews during the Holocaust and prioritized their needs above his own needs. Invariably, when you prioritize the needs of others, your own needs get under-prioritized. And consequently, you focus on alleviating the needs of others rather than yours. This is what Christianity is all about. How far do you focus on the well-being of others, even to the extent that it could affect you? How often do we flippantly tell others that we will pray for them or we will do something to support them, but then do mighty little about it? My dad used to say, once you have given your word, even if it costs you significantly more than what you had envisaged, ensure you do not compromise on your word, for your word has a weight. Does your word have a weight? Do you keep your words, or are they written in water? Third, act with generosity and justice. Act with generosity and justice. Nehemiah 5:10-13, we see that Nehemiah did not simply demand that the wealthy landowners stop exploiting their neighbors. He also acted generously and with justice, forgiving their debts and returning their land to them. That's an excellent example. As believers, we are called to act with generosity and justice. We must be willing to forgive others and extend grace to those who have wronged us. Willing to advocate for justice on behalf of those who are oppressed and marginalized. An excellent example of this is Nelson Mandela. He fought against the injustice of apartheid in South Africa. But he also extended forgiveness and grace to those who oppressed him and his people. In Nehemiah chapter 5 verses 1-13, we see the importance of recognizing injustice and responding with love, rejecting selfishness and prioritizing the needs of others, and acting with generosity and justice. As believers, we must apply these in our own lives, seeking to alleviate the suffering of those around us, and prioritizing the needs of others and advocating for the justice and compassion in our communities. May we be inspired by Nehemiah's example and live our lives in service to others, just as Christ has called us to do. This is Pearl John signing off the Other 167. Thank you for watching the Other 167. Let me urge you to share this with your friends and neighbors and encourage them to watch and be blessed as well. Have a fantastic day and a fabulous weekend. See you next week.